What's up, bro? Today I am bringing you a little over a month of meditating every morning for a few minutes. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory. I grew up in the South, specifically in Louisiana in the USA, and I was always surrounded by really, really hardworking people, but I don't think that ever really, a lot of people down there work very hard, but they don't really accomplish much. So coming to college, I had the same sort of influences and motivations and work ethics that they did. So it was a little interesting. I would work very hard. I'd study a lot. I'd study more hours a day than I would be on my phone, for example. I'd study more hours than I would sleep in a day, probably 10, sometimes 12 hours in a day. But I was getting some results, but I wasn't getting the results I wanted. I stopped looking at ways I can subtract, cut things out, and started looking at ways I can change the work I am doing in order to feel better and feel like I could do more work better, if that makes sense. So I already cut out things, I already doing all the good habits, working hard, pushing through all the pain that comes with studying late and trying to maintain straight A students and be an athlete here in college. But it just wasn't working out. It really wasn't. I began watching more podcasts centered around sleep, meditation, cognition, and specifically Andrew Huberman podcasts. And I remember he got on a guest, I can't remember his name, or a guy who spoke a lot about meditation and how it helped him. And I was like, I should start that. And I didn't start meditation thinking I was going to make a YouTube video out of it. I actually started meditating before I made this YouTube channel. You can go back to my first video. It was 3 weeks ago, and I've been meditating for about a month and a week at this point. But it was, honestly, it changed the game as far as my motivation. People talk all the time about discipline and motivation, and you can't rely on motivation, you have to be disciplined, but you also have to have motivation to work hard and start and consistency and whatnot. But I really had all those things, but I still wasn't getting the results. So what went wrong? What kept me from where I wanted to be despite putting in the reps? So I started meditating. It began as a little bit of experiment. I like doing 10-day long experiments in my journal, for example. I can show you guys. Here, I'd experiment with different meditation lengths each day. I began 1 minute, because I really wanted to figure out what works best for me. So I began doing 1 minute long meditations, and I would work up a minute each day from there. So let me see if I can find one of these for you guys. Yeah, so here on March 7th, I have meditate for 2 minutes. It's really been great because I experimented with a lot of different meditations times, but what I've actually found out is that what works best for me is not getting my 30 minutes a day of meditation, doing my ice shower, going out for a run, a jog. It's whatever is centered around making me feel good for work. So I don't meditate for 10 minutes a day. I don't meditate for 5 minutes some days. I meditate as long as I need until I get hit with that spark to get back on from my bed to my computer and get some more work done. I found that most often days it is 5 minutes. Some days it's 3.5. One day I sitting on my bed. I meditate sitting on my bed frame around 5:30 or 6 a.m. whenever I get around to it. But there was a day where I meditated for 20 minutes and time just flew. Like I said, on average, it's 3.5, 5 minutes One day recently it was 19 seconds before I got hit with the spark to get back to work. And I think that's really the point of all these like habits and practices. Like the point is to make yourself ready for work. When Andrew Huberman says you should work out in the morning because maybe it increases or decreases cortisol levels for the rest of the day, or starts your day off with a hard thing that will do like better things later, that's advice for the average person. Honestly, I'm not like the average person. You probably aren't either. You are, I can't say exactly what you are, but I mean, chances are the average doesn't work for most people. It's like a bell curve. There's 50% that everything he says works great for. And then as you go down the curve, there's more and more people that the advice doesn't work that well for. But you know, with a big audience, he can apply to, he needs to be a little bit more generalized to apply to them. But for me, I get to speak directly to you. So where meditation fits into my life. So I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Every single day I wake up at 5 a.m. and I get onto my laptop. I eat the frog, which is a concept by Hamza Ahmed, where he didn't start it, but he got the inspiration from someone else. He calls it eat the frog, where you basically do your hardest task first, and that's what I do for 10 to 30 minutes. And right after that, I get my towel on, which is right behind me. I already got my stuff out for tomorrow. I get my towel on, my shower shoes, and I go over to the bathroom and do a really freaking cold shower. And then I come back, brew my coffee, and get on my bed and start meditating. I experimented a while doing my morning routine as soon as I got out of bed, but I found that doing that routine until 5:30 or 5:20 and then working for like 2.5 hours straight doesn't work the best for me. I think it's, even at your peak focus times, it's hard to stay fully focused on work for 2.5 hours, which for those of you that don't know, I would start at 5:30, I'd start working, and I'd work basically until 8, which is when I leave for breakfast and classes and whatnot. But that's where it fit in for me, and I found that doing a really hard task and then getting to go do this fun morning routine that rejuvenates me gets me back to feeling great for my work. Unfortunately, my foot's broke, but when it's healed, I'm probably going to make a video experimenting 10 days with running a mile or 3 miles in the morning. I'm pretty excited to get back to running. I should be about a week and a half left until I can get back into running. But that's, like, as you can see, I'm like absolutely killing it, upper body in the gym, but I'm very, very, very excited to get back to running. But meditation, so why don't we meditate? For most people, especially college-age students like myself, we may feel like we don't have the time, or maybe you just don't believe in meditation. But I'd say that daunting, it is so worth it. And meditation doesn't always include sitting on my bed and shutting my eyes, taking deep breaths for 5-10 minutes at a time. Sometimes it is just sitting at my desk, feeling burnt out from work, and taking a few deep breaths. Sometimes that's all it is. And I think it being so worth it, I really encourage you, yes, you bro, I encourage you to try out a similar thing to what I did. Maybe not exactly the same, because maybe you don't have 10 days to try it out, but experiment with just different meditation times. Like, I'd love to take a little bit more time, but like I just said, especially college age students, we feel like we don't have time. So even the variable time works really, really great for me, because some days I'm just slammed with work and I really don't have all that much time. I mean, I think over the summer, I'd love to meditate for longer each morning, probably, and I might make a video in another 7 weeks about meditating for 3 months. So that should be very interesting. And I really hope that this whole self-improvement thing, meditation is just a piece of it. I really hope that even you guys can see, like, from video to video that I'm making progress. Like, I think physically I'm making progress. I mean, that's pretty apparent, but I hope my speech is making progress, my articulation, my voice, my masculinity. I really want to portray to you guys and myself to look back on, like, where I've come from and where I've gotten to. So I really enjoy you guys just keeping up with me, and I really appreciate it. So meditation, it might not be for everyone, but as I mentioned before, the advice that I'd give to the average person, even you, bro, not even average, I'd say meditation's all about being present, and for me, regaining focus and mindfulness. So I would say, as busy as your life might be, girlfriend breaking up with you, maybe you failed a test, or even if you're like me, you strive for A's and maybe you got a B and you're pissed at yourself for not studying fucking harder. Meditation could be for you. I really, really encourage you all to try it. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I do. I hope you guys have a great night. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Like and subscribe. As cheesy as it might be to say, I'm actually still recording my 30-day dopamine detox challenge shorts right now. Today is actually week 2 of that video. Go check out the shorts, like and subscribe on those, leave comments if you want to. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. See y'all later.